you have to get help where you can get it. She works cheap. Which we're going to try to post
No, you're fine. You're fine.
So check our website, giving any technical glitches. It should be up this evening. And we also are covering this debate as well for the paper, and we will summarize some of the questions and responses in Sunday's edition. I would also like to thank Ivy Tech for allowing us to take over their auditorium this evening. I also want to thank Miami County Deputy Clerk of Elections, Paul Wilson, who is on hand to do voter registration. He has a area set up outside where you can register to vote, and if you have not registered to vote, you should really seriously consider it, because that is the best way to make sure that the candidate of your choice is elected to office. We all should appreciate and respect these local residents who seek to serve the city of Peru as mayor. With that in mind, I ask each of you tonight to also respect the candidates by politely turning off your cell phones, or at least putting them on vibrate if you are expecting an important call. If you have to get up during the forum, please move as quietly as possible, and so we can get to as many questions as possible in the allotted time. Please hold your applause until after each candidate's closing statement. We asked for questions from the community, and they delivered. We had several dozen questions submitted. None of the candidates have any knowledge of these questions, and all of the questions are in a format that would be fair to all the candidates. There's not a question targeted to a certain candidate. So here are the ground rules for tonight's debate. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to introduce themselves with an opening remark. The candidates will then have 3 minutes each to answer questions submitted by the readers. The first candidate to answer the question, so like in other words, for the first question, the first candidate answers, the other two answer the same question. If the first candidate would like to rebut something that was said, they have that opportunity, but it is only 30 seconds. Each candidate will also have 1 minute to make a closing statement at the end of the debate. The candidates drew numbers before tonight's debate to determine who will answer the first question. We will rotate who responds first after each question. Please remember that we are here to discuss important issues, not to get into personal matters. We will most likely not have time to take questions from the audience. However, there are index cards and pens on the refreshment table. Please place these cards in one of the blue bags after you write your question on it. I am hoping that I'll be able to poll the candidates after tonight with those same questions and have their answers. We'll publish those in the Peru Tribune a couple times a week, up until the time of election. To help the candidates stay on track, Sandy will signal the candidates when they have 1 minute remaining by ringing the bell one time. When the bell rings twice, your time is up. So we ask each candidate to please be respectful of each other's time. Let's start with the candidate introductions, and for this, we went in alphabetical order. So, Mr. Bunker, if you will start with an introduction.
My name's Wayne Bunker. I'm a lifelong resident of Peru, Indiana. I'm 64 years old. I went to Peru High School, graduated Peru High School. Jim and I graduated in the same class, as a matter of fact. I'm a Vietnam-era veteran. I never actually got sent to Vietnam. I got the lucky straw on that one. But I'm a Vietnam-era veteran. I have an accounting degree and a management degree from Indiana University. I completed teachers training for economic sociology and U.S. history from Ball State. Never applied to graduate. And I have a master's degree from Indiana Wesleyan in accounting and management. I invest in Peru. We have a lot of rentals in Peru. I buy a lot of times the worst of the worst houses, and I fix them up to try to improve our assessed values for the community. Currently, I am an instructor at Ivy Tech. This semester I'm teaching the advanced accounting class and the class below that, and I'm also teaching an economics class this semester. A little bit about my background. I was, they call it the Chief Financial Officer now. I was the business manager at Peru Community Schools in the late 90s, and I was on the school board in the early 90s, being elected president of the school board 4 times. I was a custom home builder about 25 years until the 2008 recession hit us and took us out. I truly have a desire to serve the community. As I look back, I've seen our community decline for many reasons, and I have a community survey that was put out, so most of my platform came from the community survey. Thank you.
Our next candidate is Mr. Greer.
Hi, my name is Gabriel Greer. I was born here in Peru. I grew up in Mexico. Went to school at North Miami. After school, went to IUK and then Ball State, where I studied journalism for 4 years. When I came home to Peru, I got involved with the city council, running with that, and I have seen a lot of missed opportunities on my time on city council, and a lot of frustration with what hasn't happened, and that's why I'm running for mayor here in Peru.
Mr. Walker.
Good evening, my name is Jim Walker. I'm married to Tyra. We've been married for 33 years. 2 grown children. I have a son-in-law, Jacob. 2 grandsons, a step-grandson, and we enjoy spending quite a bit of time with them. As far as my background, I spent 12 years on the Peru City Council, 8 years as chairman, and I became mayor here in Peru in 2004. I'm in my 12th year as mayor. Prior to that, I worked for AT&T for 33 years, retiring in 2004, or the first day of 2004. And when I started out, I was what they call a switching equipment technician. When I retired, I was the area manager for Northern Indiana. So I also have been involved with other things in the community. One of the accomplishments being the Peru Depot restoration. A group that I founded called Our Town Peru Incorporated. Bought that building in 1989. Just spent 18 months working on it and restored it and made it a great addition to our community. I've also been involved with Ole Olson Memorial Theater for 44 years. And I was part of the team on that restored the Cole Porter birthplace. I believe if you're going to be a part of the community, or be in the community, you ought to be a part of the community. And I have tried to do that my entire life, getting involved with many projects that benefited our community. I thank you all for being here this evening. This is going to be a great event. I hope you get a lot of good information this evening to help you make your decision. So let's get started.
Okay, as determined by the number draw, the first candidate to answer the first question will be Mr. Greer. And the second candidate for the next question, well, the first candidate for the next question will be Mr. Bunker, and then the third question will be answered first by Mr. Walker. Provide some examples of the issues with which you agreed or disagreed with regarding the actions of the City Council.
One of the more recent things I disagreed with was the yard sale permit fee. There's a lot of people in our community who subside on very little money to get by, and if you have to go to City Hall, pay $5 to get a permit to have a yard sale, it becomes one more thing on a list of things that doesn't seem to be get done through the week, and you end up not having the yard sale here in Peru. You might end up taking your stuff and putting it with your sister's yard sale out of town, and I think that's a detriment not only to the people who are trying to have yard sales to make a little bit extra money, but also if we start not having as many yard sales, there's a lot of people in the community that come.
Department, we've had terminations there. Street Department, we've had terminations there. We've had terminations in other departments. It's no different as far as what we are doing. If there is something that happens that gets them to that level, we take an action. As far as is it hurting morale, I'm sure that if you talk to certain individuals, they're going to say, yeah, morale is low. You can talk to others and say morale is improving because of it. So it's just who you are talking to at the time you're talking to, what answer you want to receive. I will say that I wish every officer that has left the department the very best, and I also wish every officer that is coming on board the very best. And we think they'll be good representatives of the community in the future. And that's about the simplest way I can put it.
Well, I don't believe that we have police officers who have been doing a good job for 15 years that all of a sudden became rogue officers. I think there's clearly something going on in the last year and a half, 2 years at the police department, and I think through the appeals process that the officers who have been fired, we've seen that these firings haven't been right, and that things such as the matrix that Jim alluded to have not been used the way they were intended to. And I think that the first thing that we need to do on the police department is get new leadership at the top of the police department. We need to show the officers that have shown our community so much support back. And I don't see anything that has happened in the last 2 years that justifies this level of firings and officers leaving. And so from where I stand, I think that having new leadership at the top that the police department has faith in and feels comfortable with will be the first step in fixing that.
How should street repairs be prioritized? What is the way you would prioritize what streets get repaired when?
Okay. Typically what we do, and this happens every year after winter is starting to end and the snow is thawing and everything, we have a group that goes out and we review the streets. And one of the things we look at is, how deep are the cracks? Is the asphalt heaving? Or how many potholes did we repair over the winter time? What is the traffic load on that? If it is a street very seldom used, maybe it won't get as much detailed work as a main thoroughfare would. And then once we look at the streets, we kind of categorize each one and give it a numeric. And this would be one of the top 10 streets we need to fix. Once we go through all the streets, and we do drive up and down every one of them, then we decide, here's how much money that we have, because that's when we set the budget. We say, well, here's how much money is going to road repair. Typically, it's going to be around $300,000 to $350,000 a year. How far can we go with this? What are the priority streets? Where are we going to get the biggest bang for the buck? And then we can decide how many roads we can take care of with the money that we have. But it's not a scientific process, it's a visual process. We look at the streets, look at the condition. If it's one that has a lot of traffic on it, like a Main Street or a Broadway, or sometimes 3rd Street can be very heavily traveled. But that's how we do it. But if you look at the streets over the years since 2004, we have spent quite a few $1 million improving our infrastructure. I think our streets and our sidewalks are in better condition now than they have been in a very long time.
And I would agree with that general matrix of figuring out which roads to repair. I do find it perplexing that some of the roads that become so bad, in such bad shape, such as East Canal Street, go as long as they do with as much damage that seems to be to the road. But it goes back to, for me, one of the things that Mr. Bunker said was wanting to take money from the mayor's position and adding it with other monies to create a new position for economic development. I would focus on getting money back into the infrastructure repair that we need in the sidewalks and the streets instead of creating new positions.
In the community survey that I posted online, that was on SurveyMonkey, so I had no influence in it whatsoever. It was a blind survey. I don't know who answered it, and I didn't want to know who answered it. But about 93% of the people who took time to answer that survey, and it took a while, 30, 40 minutes if you actually filled it all out, 93% of the people think that our streets and our sidewalks and our curbs are in very poor or extremely poor condition. That's terrible. I mean, that's across all income categories, that's across all educational categories, that's across all categories. In my vision, when we was at the schools, we had a capital projects plan where we sit down and we, in the schools, we laid back money for, like, we had a roof that was going to be 15 years out. We estimated the cost of the roof and we divided it by 15 and we put that much back every year. So when it came time to do the roof, we could do the roof. I don't think that would work very well perhaps in the streets. but the way Jim and Gabe both talk about that, we do need I propose a 10-year plan, analyze the streets, what needs to be done, try to cost it out, and then build a budget around that so they can start being fixed. On the sidewalk part, I'm proposing a public and private coordination to start repairing our sidewalks by working with the homeowners and getting the sidewalks in this town repaired. If you notice how many people in this town walk up and down the street because the sidewalks are unsafe. Thank you.
You asked me the question on the streets first, correct? Okay. Yeah, on the rebuttal side, Wayne, what you said that the streets and the sidewalks are terrible. 2 years ago, we were voted by the Governor's Council on People with Disabilities as in the top 10 most mobile communities in the state of Indiana. So somebody is doing the right thing. The streets and the sidewalks are being addressed. If you look at the number of sidewalks, number of streets that have been done to help with those who have mobility issues, and we work very closely with harvesting capabilities. And you can check with them there when we're doing the streets. If they find areas, we work with them to get them corrected. So to say that we are not doing enough, or that the streets and the sidewalks are terrible, I don't get it, because that's not what we're hearing, and the Governor's Council gave us that award for it.
I don't know how much time the governor spends walking on the sidewalks in Peru, but I do know that we do have pretty bad sidewalks. We have some pretty bad sidewalks. There's a lot of places where you just can't walk on the sidewalks in Peru. And one of the things I would like to do is partner with the correctional facility out at Grissom and maybe get a program where we can get labor there to help tear up the sidewalks and get them out and maybe help frame up sidewalks to mitigate some of the costs to the residents.
Gabe had a good one on the governor. Again, with the community survey, with 93% of the local people saying they're not happy with the sidewalk, that should tell us something. When we start to listen to our community, we start learning what our community really wants. I know the Governor's Council might be bright and all that stuff, but they don't walk up and down our sidewalks every day or push baby carriages down the sidewalks every day. My daughter-in-law was over here from Illinois, and she said that she couldn't walk on the sidewalks, and one time we were walking down the sidewalk and my wife tripped and bruised up her head. So our sidewalks are not in good shape in the majority of the city. Some areas are good, that's true, but the majority of the city and the majority of the citizens disagree with that comment.
This question is for you. Would you favor a hire local first policy for any open or available positions within the city?
Yes. I think that we have very many good candidates for just about any position that we have in the city, and that we should definitely put first our local citizens who pay taxes here, and should be looking at them first to fill employment opportunities.
I believe in local first also. We have a lot of talented people in this community. Some projects, quite obviously, you can't hire local because of the complexity and the need of architectural designs and things like that. But again, I bring back with my experience from the schools. We remodeled all the bathrooms at the junior high and the high school. We built it into the capital projects plan over a period of 3 or 4 years. I'm not sure, it's been a while. And we used all local labor to get that done, and we paid for it as we accomplished that project. So the taxpayers saved money because we used local people, and they also saved money because we didn't have to bond an issue to update the bathrooms at the time.
Whenever we look at employees for the city of Peru, it's a notice is out, so we look at anybody who wants to be in Peru. Whether it's looking at the police department, fire department, street department, those are the big three that we have the higher numbers. But we also hear people say we need to grow our community. And I agree, we need to grow our community. More population would be good. So I'm not going to exclude somebody from outside the community having an opportunity to move here and take one of these jobs if they're qualified. So to say we're just going to look at people in our community and not open our doors and welcome new residents to our community to be considered for one of these jobs, I think would be a backwards looking at where we want to lead the community. We talked earlier about, somebody said population was declining. Well, if we're not going to allow new folks to come into our community looking at the opportunities, that isn't going to change. So we do need to look at new opportunities and allow everybody an equal chance.
I don't think that the best way to have population growth in Peru is to give jobs to people from outside of the community. The best way to have population growth in Peru is to foster a community where the kids growing up here say, that's the community that I grew up in, I love that community, and I want to come back there, and I want to be a part of it. And fostering that kind of community is how we're going to get population growth.
Gotta have equal time, don't we? We do need businesses in this community, and some of the proposals that I had to try to get businesses in the community aren't in the top 50, quite obviously. They're the type of industry and job opportunities that we can get that won't cost the community an arm and leg try to get them in here. And since they mentioned population growth, I do have a chart here. In 2004, we had 12,710 people in our community. And the July 1st census estimate, we are now down to 10,937. We have lost almost 3,000 people in our community in the last 12 years.
Well, if you also, Wayne, if you're a numbers guy, if you look at the number in the county has maybe gone down a little bit as well, but you know a lot of people that used to live inside the corporate boundaries of the city of Peru are living in some of the suburbs just outside the city of Peru, so they haven't left the community. They may have changed from a city resident to a county resident, but are they still a member of this community? Yes, they are. Is that responsible for everything? I'm not saying that is 100% of it, but you have to look at all numbers instead of just looking at a number for a debate and using that as your background.
Wayne, the next question's for you. What are your ideas about reducing the tax rate in Peru? Reducing the tax rate?
I got my own bed, I don't trust yours. Okay, someplace I got my tab. I gotta find the right page. Reducing the tax rate. Okay, our tax rate in Peru is $5.22 per hundred this year. We have the highest tax rate of any community out of 11 communities in north central Indiana. Monticello, Tipton, Warsaw. Matter of fact, Rochester, if a business wants to locate here, they can go to Rochester and locate for $3 less per hundred than they get it here. $3 less per hundred. That's what we're up against in this town. We are so high in our taxes. The only one that's even close to us is Logansport, and they're having trouble also. Our tax rate has risen extremely fast over the last, since 2004. Our tax rate has risen in the city of Peru. The city total tax rate, let's see, the tax rate has risen 50% since 2004. Our inflation rate's been 26%. If we add the trash fee in, because the trash fee is a tax, whether you want to admit it or not, the trash fee this year equates to 38 cents. So if we add that back in, our current tax rate is about $5.61, I think it is, which makes our inflation rate with the trash fee about 71%, and the actual inflation rate for the economy is 26%. So even with the last 4 years, since Dave's been on the council, with the trash rate, our tax rates increased 17%, counting the trash fees in, and the inflation rate for the last 4 years, 3 years technically, has only been 2.4%. So we have to get our tax rate in line because we're driving businesses out of this town because they cannot afford the taxes. Yes, our homeowner taxes are low because of the property tax relief credits, but the 2 and 3% group is driven by the tax rate. And we have an extremely high tax rate. There's nobody even close to us other than Logansport.
Okay, I have a question for you, Wayne. We're going to do math. Earlier you said that the assessed value dropped. How bad?
95 minutes.
What happens when the assessed value drops? So you're paying that tax rate on a lesser amount. How much more are you actually paying?
We'll pay more.
How much?
I don't have it
Okay. The whole point here, whenever your assessed value drops, your tax rate goes up. But you're only paying that tax on what they call a maximum levy. This is the maximum amount of taxes the state will allow you to raise. It only goes up by a certain percent each year. For 2016, it's 2.6% is the maximum you can raise that levy that you're paying taxes on. So whenever your rate or your assessed value goes down, your rate will go up, but you're multiplying that rate towards a lesser number. So people know the rate goes up means you're paying more. Keep in mind that the state of Indiana developed a plan. Your tax that you pay, property tax, is 1% on a residential property, 2% on farms and businesses, 3% on industry. It will never exceed that amount. Property taxes in Peru, Indiana aren't at the full 1%. You're not paying 1% of your home's value. So you can say anything you want about the tax rate. The assessed value has dropped. We don't set the assessed value. That's not a function of the city government. So naturally, when the rate goes down on the assessed value, the property tax rate does go up.
We do have taxes that are too high in Miami County and in Peru. One of the things that I feel like I have a track record of showing is my willingness and ability to work with the utility company on keeping utility rates low. There's been a few times when ordinances are brought to the city council regarding the utility rate, something that as the mayor and on the city council we have far more control over than the tax rates that Walker and Bunker are talking of. And I believe that I've shown that I'm willing to work with differing views to try to make sure that rates stay low and Peru stays affordable for the city or the people in Peru.
Okay. If we look back at the last 4 years, Wabash has went back 10.96% on their tax rate. Winamax went back 6.99. Tipton, Huntington, and Warsaw has been basically in the negative, less than 1% in the negative.
And also on the trash fee, that is something that when I spoke to Jim about that when it was first proposed, I did set up town hall meetings. We actually had a town hall meeting in this room where I asked constituents to come and voice their opinion, and I was willing to work collaboratively with other people to come up with better solutions and to take a close look at what was being proposed. And I think that shows that I'm willing to listen to people and try to get information back from the community on how they feel about these.
Okay, Dave, this is your question, I believe? Or no, I'm sorry, it goes to Jim. What memberships or involvement do you have with local religious, civic, or fraternal organizations? And do any of these memberships interfere with your duties as mayor?
Well, I don't know if over the years, I've been involved with very many, local organizations. The one I've been involved with probably the longest with Ole Olson Memorial Theater. I started that when I was about 18 years old, and I have to blame my mother for that. She's a sweet lady, no longer with us, but she always wanted me to sing. Now, that's why I joke so much about singing, and I'm a terrible singer, but so I'm not going to sing tonight. But anyway, she said, no, she wanted me to get involved with Ole. I had a sister who's involved in it. She said, oh, that'd make me proud. I want to see you do this. So I got involved with Ole and found out I really enjoyed it. And so I stayed there 44 years, probably the longest one. Founded an organization called Our Town Peru Incorporated. We restored the Peru Depot, did some other things in our community. Those are the types of things that I like to get involved with. As far as, the different service organizations, I can't say that I'm an active member of anything like that, because a lot of times they're noontime meetings and I can't make those. But all the organizations I'm involved with, they are not funded by the city budget. There are some where they do pay their fees to these organizations, and I don't have any fees that go toward my involvement in any of the community things that I'm involved with. But if we're talking about making a difference in our community, positive difference, those are the things I want to spend my time with, and not just go to meetings.
Well, I do admit I wish I had more time for some of my passions and these hobbies. Having two small children, being on the city council, and having a full-time job, I don't have as much time to be on some of these service committees as I'd like. I have a passion for local history, and I am probably, that would bias me a little bit, because I am dead set on trying to preserve the historic buildings in Peru. I think they're a gem that if we lose in Peru, that we will never get back. I have been involved with the Historic Society, the Indiana National Preservation Society, and that's about all I've had time to be a part of lately.
My community involvement in the past, again, I was a member of the Peru Kiwanis Club. I was president 1 year. I was a member of the business officials when I was the business manager for Peru Schools. I'm a member of the Peru Mana Corps. I also have many irons in the fire because I teach a lot of classes evening at Ivy Tech, and I've done about 12 years of college, so that takes a lot of evenings too. When I got my master's, that was a lot of time trying to write them papers they give you every week that you have to write. So my time is limited for the community, but I believe in community involvement, and I would work with any civic organization trying to better the community.
I'm assuming nobody wants to rebut any of that. So. Okay.
No.
No. How would you say?
So the next question goes to Gabe. This question is, what is your position on government transparency, and how would you improve on the public's access and ability to get that information?
Well, I think that government transparency is one of the biggest issues that we face in the city of Peru right now. I feel like the city government has operated in a silo. We don't have a lot of people show up to city council meetings, and I know, like I just stated before, how busy I am in my personal life and how many people in Peru are. But we need to do better about reaching out to the community and letting them know what's going on and asking for their input and their involvement. I think that's absolutely essential for getting the best results for Peru, whether that be posting on Facebook from the mayor's page, letting people know what's going on, making sure that the city council meetings are up on YouTube immediately. But the more the people in Peru know what's going on, the more they have the opportunity to come and voice their opinion, the better the result will be. So transparency is absolutely a #1 issue for me.
I think transparency in government is paramount to having a free society. One of my proposals, once I get to be mayor, would be to have a community quarterly meeting, like a town hall meeting, or all the department heads be present, and that way they get to ask or answer questions from the community. Because if the community answers a question and you're sitting there, like right now, we really don't have a whole lot of choice about answering it, do we? So if we have a town hall meeting like that, I would hope it would be civil and everything else. I'm quite sure it would be. But that would build the transparency of the community. I really like the transparency within the state government now. So much information is available on the web. That's how I come up with all my data. It's available at the State Board of Accounts, the Department of Local Government Finance, and Stats Indiana, and all the other places you can go get data. So the public today has a lot of opportunity to actually find out what our government's doing for us or to us, either way, how you want to look at it. And I just think transparency is paramount.
We all agree transparency should be adhered to, but it's not just a statement, it is an action. And if you ask any person in the media world if my doors are always open to them, they would say yes. I do not keep anybody out. If they call, they want to meet with me, I make time available. When I first became mayor in 2004, I used to have a lunch with the mayor program where I'd meet people at different restaurants and we'd sit down and talk. The only reason that discontinued because some people just, I guess, got comfortable and we didn't have those anymore. But if any individual comes up without an appointment to the office, I make every effort I can to sit down and talk with them. So as far as being transparent, we're doing that. We have cityofperu.org site that you can get information on what's going on with the community. There's a calendar, there's everything else. There's a newsletter that we do. I mean, we're trying to get the information out. Now, it was mentioned, well, we can do something on Facebook. I think Facebook can be a good tool. Sometimes it's used as a very bad tool because there's a lot of negative information out there. So, you know, if they want to get more information, we'd be more than happy to enhance what we're doing already. But it is being done. We are being transparent, and I would defy anyone to say that we're not.
And I agree with what Jim said when he said that transparency is an active situation. When, with the city council and the mayor's office, we can't, I don't think another public meeting is the answer to transparency. Like I said before, I think we all have pretty busy lives, and reaching people, we're reaching out to people from where they are, whether it be Facebook or sending out a newsletter to people, trying to be proactive in reaching the public instead of sitting back and wondering why they're not showing up to our meetings. It'd be better.
The meeting I propose has nothing to do with the council or the Board of Works because they are controlled by the open door law. The meeting I propose would be the department heads, such as the police department chief, the police chief, the fire chief, the street department chief, the park superintendent, things like that. That's where people usually have questions and concerns. As far as an open door policy, you can say you have an open door policy and your door is open. And since Jim challenged me to say this, I will say this. I met with him 2 years ago about the trash fee, and I'm still waiting for that answer. Thank you.
What answer? Well, Wayne, I disagree with you on that, but I don't think we're going to sit here and debate that question, but we do get that information out to everyone. But you know, as you mentioned the trash fee, transparency, when we talked about the trash fee, before I had decided to take it to the city council, I had meetings in every precinct in the city of Peru. And there are council members in those precincts that did attend them, some did, some didn't. But we went to every precinct to get input on it before that was enacted. And so, you know, once this bill got put in place, the trash fee is $12 per month is what it's costing you. Now, I know we're not charging $24 a month, but it's $12 a month. And we did take it to the public to let them have input before we took it to the council.
Did you?
Yeah,
do you have-
yeah, that's
Okay, I have, are you comfortable with a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up, or is that, because I think we've been doing this a little over an hour now, so, okay, okay. What are some of the businesses or activities or other things that you would like to see brought to Peru that would make a higher quality of life? And that is business activities, recreational thing, just some examples.
Okay. The type of businesses, I've already said, the type of businesses I like to see come to our town because of our access. There are 45 million people that live within 250 miles of Peru. 45 million people. As far as recreation, there's 2 million people, 1.998 million people live within 60 miles of Peru. So what I would like to see is us develop recreational opportunities that draw people from our 60-mile radius, and by doing that we can maybe develop some restaurants. When people come do the recreation, they'll want to eat here, and maybe we can have some mom and pop shops like antiques and things like that, because you can't compare mom and pop shops on the internet. They can't just take their phone, scan the barcode and say it's cheaper over across the street. So something like that would be good. As far as the businesses, I've already mentioned that. Because of our central location, and we're very unique in north central Indiana of being very centrally located, you can go east, west, north, or south from here very quickly. Within 5 hours, I'm told the trucking industry has a 12-hour day, so if you plow in a circumference of about 5 hours, which would be 250 miles, you can go and distribute stuff. So that 250 miles takes in Milwaukee, Lansing, Grand Rapids, Toledo, Cincinnati, Louisville, for example. And that's about 45 million people. There's no reason at all, unless I'm mistaken, that we shouldn't be able to attract these type of businesses, because that's what our world's going to. We don't go to the brick and mortar like we used to. A lot of people Google shop now. Prime, Prime, whatever that stuff is. That's behind my generation. But that's the world we're going to. So Peru needs to strategically place themselves to capture some of this growth that's going to be coming down the road. And our central location is right here. Winamac doesn't have that. Tipton doesn't have that. Wabash doesn't even have that, because they have to go west before they can go north. So we are in a ideal situation to try to capture some of the growth that's coming down the road. And with Interstate 67 coming down the road, we can position ourselves very well. And the first rule of real estate.
An email today. The railroad is wanting to sit down and talk again. The railroad being the CSX Corporation. That is on the bare ground between Homers and West City Park. That is one where we've had earmarked to be a sports complex down here where we can have more youth activities. So when a parent takes their children to go down to play sports, whether it's girls or boys, baseball, softball, soccer, whatever, you can take them to one location instead of jumping all over town to find a spot to take them. So hopefully we're going to come to a conclusion with that. It's been many years in the process, and that's just the first shot. Okay. So, then I got hearing like an owl. But anyway, so we are getting areas ready for development. If you look at North Broadway alone, that could be 1,000 acres that we can develop out there. It's going to be along an interstate or a highway and an interstate eventually, that we think that we can really make an opportunity. So part of the decisions we have to do today is make those opportunities exist for the next generation to kind of finish them up, because 1,000 acres isn't going to be done overnight, and we have to lay the foundation today.
I think if we're talking about a quality of life, institutions being brought here, one of the things that we have right now is the Nickel Plate Trail to the north and to the south. It's not connected through Peru right now. I think the Nickel Plate Trail is a great asset that could bring a lot of people to Peru and make it the destination spot that Mr. Walker was talking about. but we have to have people in the mayor's office who can work with other interests and get that done and be willing to compromise. We also need to have people who are going to work with the community, just like the skate park, be willing to work with them and not against them to bring new facilities to Peru and raise the quality of life here in Peru. I know Mr. Bunker mentioned the internet, and I believe it was like Amazon Prime. He's talking about it not being part of his generation. I also think that having somebody, the younger generation, that does understand better the internet and those types of businesses that we can attract here, because it's closer to that generation, will be an asset to the mayor's office too.
Different generation, right? I guess if you're under 30, you only shop on Google Prime, that's what I'm told, because of the free shipping or 2 days or something like that. I'm a big internet person, because that's where I get all my stuff. But Peru needs to be a destination. The problem that we have in this community right now is that the current administration, not criticizing Jim per se, but the current administration has had 12 years to get us to where we need to go. And all the charts show us going backwards. That's 30 seconds. He talked twice that long. Timer quit?
Okay, I have 30 seconds? Okay. You know, I've heard a couple times tonight now that the mayor's office is not working with people and not encouraging people to come in. And I find that kind of laughable, actually, because we do work with people. We've had a lot of people come in, you know, with the skateboard project. Yeah, we put up $30,000, and that paid for the concrete, and we paid for a lot of other things, the design architect and all those. We're not against working with people. Do you have a difference of opinion from time to time on how to go? Yes, you do. Anybody in business, anybody who holds an office. Did you just hit me?
She has a video quick on the trigger. You need to check how fast that clock counts down.
As far as working with people, you only have to ask Steve Anderson to the validity of whether or not we had cooperation through City Hall, and I don't have time in 30 seconds to give the litany of things that we did not have cooperation with.
Okay, and our final question. Should you lose the election in November, what are your plans? Do you plan to stay involved? And this is for Jim. Start with Jim. What if you do happen to lose the election in November? In terms of civic engagement, what are your plans moving forward?
Okay. If I get defeated in November, what are my plans moving forward?
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what. Elections and the mayor's job has never been the definition of me. Moving forward, if I wasn't going to be in the mayor's chair, I could spend more time with the grandkids, doing things with them, spend more time with my wife and my son and daughter and son-in-law, doing things on a family basis. Because I am 63, and I did retire from the phone company, and I haven't even taken my pension from there yet. So if the people of this community choose they'd like to go another route, that is your choice. And when anybody gets involved in politics understands that. You may win an election, you may lose an election. But life will go on, and I will do things. Will I still be involved with the community? Yes, that's who I am. I have a lot of confidence in this community. I think it can be a better community. Why haven't we got them done if I've been in there 12 years? Wayne mentioned earlier about 2008, no money. You can have all the greatest ideas in the world on paper, but if you don't have a checkbook to back it up, they don't get done. You have to postpone them to a later time. But I'll still be involved in the community because I just believe in the community. I think it has a bright future, and I think it has lot to offer, and I think I have a lot to offer. Hopefully I'm going to be here another 4 years to finish up some of the things that I'd like to see done. But if that's not what happens, I'll be doing something.
When I was in college, I spent a semester studying in London and traveled throughout Europe. And I think I was the only person out of those 50 students from Ball State on our way home was excited to get back to their home. I love Peru. I always wanted to come back to this community. It's my roots, it's my strength, it's my inspiration. And if I do not win this race, I really do enjoy doing electrical work. It's pretty calming, actually. It's a nice getaway from the campaigning, and I'll have more time to get involved with some of the things that I haven't had the time to, like CASA. I would love to be an advocate for children in the court system, and I'd also like to use my my history with construction to help Habitat for Humanity. So and there's plenty of things here for me if it doesn't happen. And also, I would still make sure to go to every single city council meeting, because I think that's something that the people in Peru should really strive to do.
What would I do if I don't get elected? I guess I continue doing what I do right now. I buy houses, I work on houses, I try to improve the community, continue to teach at Ivy Tech. I love teaching students who want to learn, try to impart some knowledge on them over the years. Jim and I are both the same age, we're both 63. No, I'll be 64 in November, you'll be 64 in the spring. Are you older than me? Not by much. Anyway, not by much. But basically, the only reason I got into this race was because I've seen a decline of our community since I graduated in 1970. Period. We're going backwards. And we're going backwards faster than we should be when we look at surrounding communities. I looked at the population for surrounding communities. Warsaw is the only community in our area that's actually growing at a population plus. But the surrounding communities around us have fallen, 1 or 2%, where we've fallen 13% in population. I just don't take that this community can't go forward, I guess. When I was out walking getting signatures
As a mayor, is that I will listen and I will work with opposing views to make sure that the best possible outcome